Hey, Katie, have you heard from anybody? Ashley told me she was going to be late.
No.
Okay,
Jenny said she would share. I don't know if you were on that email.
I saw that.
Okay.
Hey, everybody, I'm sub for Kamisha, just in case you're like, what is she doing here? I snuck in.
Hi, Latara.
Hey, everybody.
Latara, did you get the documents for the meeting today from Kamisha?
Yes, I did. Thank you.
So I don't know if we know, I know Jody said that she most likely wasn't going to be able to make it. Do we know if we're waiting on anyone?
Didn't hear from anybody else. I mean,
Ashley with the school said that she might be late to this meeting. And I know like Krista's not going to be here, so this might be it for
Okay.
now.
All right, we can go ahead and get started. My computer is running really slow, so I pulled up the agenda, but I'm having trouble pulling up the our last meeting notes. But that might also be because it was a while ago. But does anybody have anything to add to the agenda? Good there. Okay. And then did you have a chance to review the last meeting notes? I think I looked at them afterwards. So now, and that's why it's taking me a while to retrieve them. But from what you remembered, or if you did look at it more recently than myself, do you have anything to, any changes or anything to note from our last meeting? All right, well, we'll just go ahead and get started then. So it looks like our first item is evidence-based practices training, CHIN's work group. Do we have an update on those?
so it's been hard to schedule that, getting timely responses. And I know we've had this problem before. It's just hard for folks to kind of commit to another meeting. And so I'm happy to try to schedule it again, but I was also wondering if it sounds like from what the feedback that I got was that like I know Jody had some other folks at the school that she wanted to come. I don't know if anybody else in this group was going to send a different person or have more people, but I was just wondering, does it make sense to, at least for an initial meeting, like invite those folks to program? Since we already have that standing meeting time, if we have space on our agenda for that and, you know, one of the upcoming meetings, I'm just wondering if that might be a better way to kind of schedule it, at least initially. But if not, I'm happy to try again. It was just, like I said, hard to get responses enough to schedule a meeting in advance, enough to give folks enough notice. I know everybody's really busy, so.
I like that idea. I know we have done that in the past where we've taken a portion of program and dedicated it to like a specific topic or work group and then brought others in during that time. So I think that can work.
What I'll do is maybe I'll reach out to, I know Jody, Lee Mazzone, and Tiffany Scott were the three from city schools. So maybe I'll reach out to them and ask if the, June meeting works. I know that's like the last week of school, so I'm not really sure if that's going to work for them. Or maybe, you know, try to schedule something with them and then say, hey, everybody else, you know, who can come, or send somebody this time. If that first week of June isn't going to work for them to come to program, maybe try to do it that way. Because I do think, you know, part of my feedback to Jody was like, it's really critical that like our school folks are there, I think. And so definitely want to make sure they're able to attend. So maybe I'll do that. I'll ask if they're available for program. And if not, I'll try to schedule something with them and let you guys know when that is. Does that work?
Yeah, and I was gonna have Sarah Robinson join me for that one, as well as maybe somebody from my team. So, and then Alice, I was talking about it a little bit at, I was at Family Treatment Court yesterday and saw Jay Chowdhury, and it sounded like he might be interested in participating. So I'll leave that to you, but in case he hadn't brought it up.
That's a good tip, Alice. I appreciate that. Yeah, I think at this point, it will be somebody from Megan's team. So if not Megan, then one of her seniors. And sounds like Jay's a great candidate.
And the evidence-based training / CHINS work group, it's all in one, right? It's not two separate things?
Yeah, the CHINS, our discussion kind of morphed into this CHINS work group. So
Okay, just to make sure I had that straight.
if we need to change it on the agenda, I can give Tina that feedback that we can change it.
All right, updates. Fact.
So for Albemarle, I mean, it's kind of the same. I think we're seeing the end of the school year rush, which will from across the board. I think that we're still continuing to see more and more CHINS determinations coming through. Then I feel like there's been another flurry of them in the last month or so. But outside of that, I think it's kind of status quo, kind of the norm. I have an update. I don't know if my other update is more about partner agency update than I think FAPT update. So I guess I'll save it for letter C.
Okay, sounds good. This way we have something for everything, Erica. I like it.
There you go.
All right,
Yeah.
city fact.
I don't know if we have much of an update either. We've been talking a lot about placements and difficult to place kids. It sounds like that's been a conversation across the state for a while now. But other than that, there's not much else going on.
CSA coordinator update.
Yeah, so we have the private provider rep on FAPT that their term expires at the end of June. We've posted for recruitment for the new one. And so we've had to extend it because hasn't been a huge response at this point. So
you know, as you guys are talking to any agencies, certainly encourage folks to consider applying. I know it's a big time commitment when it's an every week kind of thing, but we definitely would like to have somebody in place, you know, by July. So keeping that in mind, I think that's, I don't know, do we have anything else? I think that's about it.
All right, partner agency update. Erica, go.
All right. So my first update is that that I would be missing the June program meeting. I'm getting ready to go on medical leave. But the second piece of that is I've actually also submitted my resignation. So I will be leaving ACDSS at the end of June. But I'll be out for about, I'm hoping as short as possible, but you know, possibly the next 3 or 4 weeks. I have surgery next week, and then I'll come back for June, and then I'll be gone again. So we'll be transitioning to, they'll need a new FAP chair. I think we're in the process of identifying who the DSS rep will be for FAP, but yeah, that's my update. More of an Erica update than a partner update. Alice, I'll let the rest of any other DSS updates I'll leave for you.
Well, if I knew that was your update, I would have told you weren't allowed to be on the agenda.
I keep hearing that. Good. That's good. It feels good to hear. I appreciate that. I've enjoyed this. I've enjoyed this. I will miss it.
My only other addition to that update is Erica's position post Friday. If you know of any good folks, please direct them that way. And similarly, if I would ask for your help, partner agencies, if you know of good folks who might be interested in taking up the noble work of foster care worker. We have 3 vacancies currently posted, and the same vacancies we had been, the line worker one, we had advertised for 3 weeks and it closed last Friday. And at the point of closing, it had 0 applicants. So if you know of good folks who want to do challenging but rewarding work, we got the job for you.
Any other partner agency updates?
I mean, I don't know that.
Go, Ellen.
No, go ahead, Latara. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, of course, KHIP and Teens Give is still planning to be in person this summer. We're excited about that. The deadline for referrals for youth did get extended for KHIP. You know, everybody's trying to get back in the swing of things. So we are extending that through May 8th. So if you have youth that you really think would be good for the program, send them our way. And referrals are open for both of those programs.
I'm really excited about KF and Teens Give being in person. It's wonderful for the kids. It really, makes they're wonderful programs. The updates that I have are just that they're not a lot, but we have wait lists right now at we're doing the best we can for case management and for ICC. I am still down staff. I have hired somebody, but they are not onboarding until middle of this month, which is also going to result in me being delayed and being able to do our the mentoring assessment. I'm totally losing my words today.
You are.
Yes, thank you. So again, if anybody knows of folks, I'm looking for a clinician position that I have open for the intensive care coordinator spot. And yeah, I think we have us also hiring, I believe, for our outpatient and for the positions within the schools that we have. There's lots of positions open right now. So there's lots of supports that are needed. We're still working. I just see continuing to see high acuities and need, which is really pushing our limits all the way across the board. And just sad, that's all. We'll carry on. And Erica, I'm going to really miss you from this program and from FAPT.
Me too. I appreciate that. This is weird. It's like the second time I've had to say goodbye to you, Ellen. So no more goodbye. We'll cross paths again. We worked
Second
together
time this
8 years
week, and
ago.
then
I know,
previously from
that's good.
FPS.
It's all, yes, it's always interesting how it plays out. Never quite what you think or expect or whatnot. So I knew it wasn't going to be easy, but appreciate that.
All right, service provision during COVID. Do we still want to keep this on our agenda? I feel like it should just be service provision during the new normal or some cliche thing like that.
We can take it off. I feel like we haven't talked much about it the past couple meetings.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not changing. Region 10 is following the medical mask mandate policies. So will be, masks required in the buildings, continuing limitations and within meetings and meeting spaces. So ICC team, high fidelity wraparound team meetings will still be virtual at this point to accommodate.
The county's definitely unmasked now, and we can meet. Our conference rooms are now back to their traditional limits, but they're still not open to the public. But in terms of outside groups reserving them, but we're otherwise sort of in normal operations at this time.
The city is still not open to the public. Sounds like we're not going to be now for a while. They just extended that operations, I forget the word, that I should know it. We've been saying it for like 2 years, but until September. The DSS building is also, they decided that they needed to have it renovated. So we're getting it all painted and carpeted, which sounds lovely, but it would have been nice if they just did it when we were home for like the last 2 years. And so that's going to be kind of tricky. But we've definitely been operating on kind of like a hybrid model. And, if clients do need to come into our office, like we make that happen or see them where they need to be seen. So all of that will just continue as usual. All right. UR guidance. I guess that's you, Ellen.
That's me on hold while I'm waiting for staff. Apologies.
All right, focus areas. Is it just best that we just skip to service gaps since that's what we needed to accomplish today, Katie?
Yeah, we can do that. I think the only other update Jennifer and I had is that the new surveys are being implemented. So we will have those next results for you guys in June. Is that right? No, July? Okay, July. So we'll see if that made a difference or not. But yeah, I think we can skip to service gap survey if you guys are ready for that part.
All right, do you want to read that one?
Sure. So I'm going to try to do this and take notes at the same time. And this is always such a bear to do in the meeting. And so I don't know if you guys had a chance to look at what we need to submit and what we submitted last time. And so I think if we can just kind of go through the questions, that might be the best way to do it. And then I think Krista provided some input. Jennifer, are you able to pull that up while I'm doing this? Okay, so the first question is for FY22, are there any new gaps in services identified that were not reported in FY21?
So I'll also say, like, I'm pretty sure the city and county had different service gaps last time. So like our responses might not line up completely the same. So for Krista's responses, she had on here that everything from last year still applied, but have become more significant. And then she put in particularly acute hospitalization and crisis stabilization. But the county already had that from the previous service gap survey. So I don't know if folks have others besides those, because those were already listed for us.
Yeah, so in talking with your agencies, folks from your agencies, did anything come up as a more significant or significant gap that's different than last year?
Well, I will own, I didn't talk specifically with my managers about this survey, but just in the course of supervision, hearing what the challenges are. What I would add to what the county submitted last year, and I'm not sure if all this is on I would definitely add medication management. Like that is hard for us to get. These kids get discharged from residential placements and then trying to keep them on their meds while we identify our provider is not easy. And we haven't always been successful, and that it's caused placement disruption or contributed to it. So that's definitely one. And I put, not because I particularly want more in the community, but I checked group home. I feel like group home and residential, just from the standpoint, they won't take our kids. Like, we go to place them and there's no bed space. So I don't know if that really belongs here or not, but like, I know we can't, when we need it with the kids we need it, it's really hard to find.
It certainly seems like a bigger problem now than it was a year ago.
Definitely a bigger problem now. Yeah, I would agree with that.
Across the board for, I think, both city and county.
And I added, related to that, family foster care homes. Like we have to use too many treatment foster homes that are outside the locality because we can't find a local one. And that's, and it's not because we're not trying to find family, because, we want to get better, but we're doing that decently at 40 to 50%. But we don't have enough foster homes, in my opinion.
One other piece of feedback that I've gotten is, and it kind of goes hand in hand with just all the wait lists, period, is the need for interpretation services. So when it's a larger agency and they have their own contracts, then it's not a problem. But some of these smaller people, we can get in with an outpatient therapist, for example, and then we have no way to pay for or access the interpretation services. So that's another piece that I'm seeing an uptick in. I'm hearing more about from my folks even, but then also in the mandated programs.
And the information I gathered from City DSS is very similar. Specifically, when we talked about comparing last year to this year, we did have a conversation about TDT and didn't necessarily feel like that was as maybe an issue before. I don't know if that's because of way school has been, but just in terms of like a difference, they were wondering about like, should we take that one off?
Take TDT off.
Yeah, because I think that was identified last year.
I mean, I'll just say that, for someone that works kind of directly with youth all the time, that is something that they actually appreciated. Obviously, everybody's very stretched, so youth can't be touched the way that they were before, but especially around middle school age, they're missing that TDT piece where someone could come and grab them and check in with them and all of that. But in that
Do you
same
feel
vein,
like it still is a problem?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that whether it's TDT or in some other form, like, just having
Support
someone
at school.
there. Yes. And in that same vein is like, I guess, youth and families that have been displaced, like because of COVID and, the rent and mortgage, the homelessness, I feel like has definitely increased across families, and they're making it work. But they have lost their, primary placement.
I would agree that the loss of TDT is still an issue, but I do think that the school systems have stepped up with more mental health support services to cover the gaps. And so I think it's maybe a little bit, I would agree with what Latara is saying, that, the kids still miss it because it's, they don't have as much of that same identified service. And it's not as prevalent, but there are some ways that the schools are stepping in to address it.
Yeah, and maybe, it's been addressed, but it's still not enough.
Yeah, yeah.
I was gonna
think
say
that's
it's
probably true.
definitely, it's there, but like, I guess the intensity of how TDT
Yeah.
was. And like being able to be like, that's my person, I can go to them if I'm about to be in a crisis situation, right? So yeah, I mean, I think everybody's just trying to figure out how to make that work and how to, you know, create those new people and spaces. So
The only things that I would add is that for ABA services right now, which is, you know, we're seeing like 1 year wait lists for that to get in place. So for kids that have, or for families that have kids who have intellectual disabilities or autism spectrum disorders, it is incredibly impactful of the lack of resource there. And I think largely due to staffing, but I mean, if you get a 6-month wait, you're doing well right now, which is very, very sad and frustrating. And then additionally, just the increase of wait time for intensive in-home services or home-based services, either one. So I see those as having an increased need from last year.
I would agree. And not that severely, but really with almost any service, it feels like there's wait lists in ways there have not been prior. I would also say that and this, Jenny, you guys might not be having challenges with this, but we're also a bit challenged with our family partnership facilitation. We had one person who was our main outside the agency person that we contracted with, and they cut their hours back. And that's really stretched us because we do not have the internal staffing resources for it. And then so it's delaying some of those happening in as timely a fashion as we would like.
No, my team is getting more and more referrals for attendance and chronic truancy issues. And there's a lot of things obviously that feed into that, but having programs that can hit at the, you know, this is the first time that you're having these major truancy issues, that early prevention stuff, if those were available, I think would go a long way in then reducing the fact that now we have families who have had 40, 50, 60 absences a year for 5 years. And now we're trying to involve all these intense services. If we had the earlier intervention opportunities, that might alleviate the pressure in other areas of the spectrum. But the truancy, which then pulls in the financial needs and then the housing needs, basic needs are not being met with available resources. And then we have more people with more severe needs on the mental health arena needing that, and we're stretched there too.
Okay. Anything else for question 1?
That was all question 1. Was it like
Yeah, I
multiple
kind of
questions,
made it.
Katie?
There's only 5, and I kind of, well, no, there's only 4, and I kind of took notes on some other ones.
Okay.
So. Have any of the gaps in services identified last year been resolved in FY22? No.
No.
Yeah, so I put on here like, no, they've really actually been exacerbated since the pandemic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just really think that the crisis that we're all feeling about not being able to hire, you know, is just such this ripple effect, right? Like, so just, I mean, that's why we have all these wait lists. I mean, nobody can hire anybody. It's like we need more mental health professionals and social workers.
And then I just added a note about the school mental health supports being added, but it's still not being kind of adequate for the need. Okay, and then it asks if any of the barriers that were identified have increased, or if there are any new barriers. And I just added increased wait time for home-based and outpatient services, staffing issues,
And I'm adding the interpreter problem, like I'm adding that there too.
Yeah, I don't feel like any of the barriers have really decreased or been resolved completely. Just last question. Unless anybody feels differently about that. So when we completed, at least for the city, when we completed the survey last year, the greatest barrier that we indicated was providers of color and Spanish speaking providers. Other barriers were data, provider availability, lack of transportation, and need for greater collaboration. So I don't know if we feel that any of those are really been resolved.
So I think we've added to the need for more than just Spanish. I'm happy when we get a referral for somebody who's a Spanish speaking family. It's a lot easier than, but we've gotten, you know, that influx of refugee families and such. So, yeah.
Anything else that we want to add? Okay. And if we get any other feedback from the schools or anybody, we'll incorporate that as well. Well, that was fairly painless. Thanks, guys.
All right, anything else with our focus areas that we need to mention right now?
Not necessarily related to the focus areas, but CPMT is going to be having their retreat next month, or yeah, next month. I'm like, I can't believe it's May. And part of their retreat is we're going to be doing the groundwater training that the city is offering on the 14th, and then having a debrief retreat on the 15th. And so just want to encourage you guys to participate in that if you haven't already. I can send forward the link to the registration link to you guys if you would like.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yes, please. That'd be great to send. Yeah, I haven't registered.
It's open to the city and then Albemarle CPMT, but because you guys are like a extension of the CPMT, I think you can register for it as well.
I haven't been, but people said it's really, really good.
Yeah,
So
I'm looking forward to it.
I'm signed up.
Let me find my email, and I'm gonna do that now before I forget.
All right, any trauma-informed services update to report out? All right. Any other or new business or topics of anything that you guys want to discuss while we're here?
Well, I would like to loop back around to the informal team or the offers to help when we're in a placement crisis and can't find one. I wanted to go back. I had emailed out about maybe staffing a case when that happened, and so we could get an idea of how we might collectively. And I don't know, I just wanted to see if that's something folks wanted to do. I got like one response when I emailed that, and that whoever responded was interested in doing that, but then nobody else. And so I wasn't really, I don't know, I just wanted to check back in and see if folks think that would be helpful, or if you just want to get an email with us saying help, we're in the middle of it.
I'm sorry. I guess I assumed, I think I might have missed this discussion when this all started, but I think I assumed that like if you, Alice, emailed this group, that was going to be what we did. We were going to do a staffing in order to help. But is that not what you were thinking it would go?
No, that's what I thought, but I just didn't, I had put it out there about staffing something that transpired. Not so much because we can change that, but just so the folks on the group have a better idea of like what the needs are and the type of help that's needed, just so folks have.
Like to
But
be
maybe that's-
prepared?
Yeah, but maybe that's not needed. I don't know, but it was more coming from that perspective. I will say just as a FYI for folks that aren't DSS workers, because Jenny would have already been aware, but in addition to or related to rather, the task force the governor set up to work on this issue. Apparently now when local agencies have this crisis come up, that in addition to staffing it with our regional offices, which we've been doing for some months now to generate ideas, we had gotten the email last week around another situation that they're also wanting us to, they're setting up staffings with people, if not the department head, then somebody high up in like DMAS and other partner agencies. So as these individual cases come up, they can hear what the challenge is. Maybe they'll also have solutions, or maybe they're just, this is how they're partly gaining information about what the needs are. But I thought that was kind of positive, just as an aside.
So were you looking for kind of what would be the next, like a next step, Alice?
Well, it's just, I mean, they're getting crickets, so I'm going to assume from that people aren't interested in staffing an old case. So I'll just, next time it comes up, I'll email out that we need help.
I think that makes sense. I'm not sure what, exactly what that would look like staffing an old case. But I'm still happy to be a part of staffing if there's an emergent need and things are coming forward.
I remember one of the first situations that we had that led to this conversation was, it was a foster youth specifically, and placements disrupting and needing hospitalization and being housed here, etc. But a more recent one that's come up is a youth who's in the community who multiple agencies are serving, and it was I thought it was a great opportunity for this team to do that conversation, because Ellen, this is one that Rachel Stanley is really involved with. So needs going on, kid is then TDO'd and then coming back, but in order to come back, like needs this wraparound service delivery that it was just hard to figure out how to piece it together. So those staffings, I think, would be really helpful in the midst of the crisis. I think some of the other ones, when it's specific to our agency, I don't know what other agencies can offer to help, but the ones that we all touch for sure, to keep the kiddo in the community and safe, and mental health, especially when those are the presenting issues, seem to be really challenging. So it's helpful for that partnership is helpful. We're already in the email chains together. So, I don't know.
Does the FAST team still meet?
So the FAST team had kind of, I think it moved away. I was trying to track back and sort of see what had happened, because I mean, it was never officially like dissolved, but I think it wound up becoming less of a need, and sort of how it was formally sort of conceptualized. But we can certainly, that was sort of the model I was thinking about when there was some of these cases that are coming in, and we need sort of our community partners to come together and do some brainstorming and say, just even if there's not something that you can do, but just contributing to the ideas generating of how to help things move forward.
Any other items of new business or just topics of discussion that would be helpful? Message out to CPMT. What from today would we need to talk to CPMT? And then Katie, could you or Jennifer, I guess, give that to Krista? Just the service gap that we completed that. Do they need to know that? I don't know.
Yeah, they have to
Sign off on it.
bless it. So yeah, that'll go to them. I don't know if there's anything else from today.
Are we updating them on the Chin's work group stuff?
Yeah, I think they knew we were trying to do something, but because we haven't really had a meeting and talked about much, we didn't get too far into it. So I don't know if that's as much on their radar.
And then maybe just the kind of the halt on your guidance at this time. All right, anything else for today? Well, Erica, I hope everything goes well for you next week and in the future. And it's been great having you part of our group. You will be missed.
Yes, I appreciate that. Hopefully our paths, I'm going to Rappahannock County, so
Yeah.
not too far. So hopefully our paths will continue to cross somewhere.
All right. Well, have a good day, everyone.
Take care, y'all.